Hey y'all, Bloodwing here, back to bring some grumpiness to your internet. And welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream where you get an extra side helping of 2 scoops of chocolate ice cream. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I want some ice cream.
I want some chocolate ice cream. I want more than 2 scoops, though.
Oh, well, yeah.
I want a
You know,
bucket.
I was going, on what my doctors say that I got to take it easy, on things. They had me on a stupid diet when I was in the hospital. It was right on my chart that I was on this diet. And like, you guys are killing me. You should have seen the cheese omelet I got the next morning when I ordered breakfast. I thought, oh, cheese omelet sounds good. I'll order this cheese omelet. And I got the thing, and it's about as big or round as the lid on a jar of peanut butter or something. It was like really tiny. I'm like, what's this? That is not a cheese omelet.
Oh, dear. Well, hello everybody. Bloodwing
Yeah.
didn't introduce me because he's a mean old man, and my name's R8 Bear, and I'm being abused.
Yeah. Well, you got me distracted. You know what happens when I get distracted.
I know. Sure you haven't got ADHD, old man?
No, I have old timer's disease.
Dementia. Alzheimer's dementia.
No, not Alzheimer's, old timers. Jen says, was there cheese on it? Yeah, there was a couple of specks on there that I could see. Yeah, it was a 1 egg omelet, Faithless, but I didn't see that part on my menu.
This is making me hungry. I always talk of ice cream and omelets. Oh, I love an omelet.
I loved the nurse that I had, the recovery nurse, when they first got me out of, because it took them a while to get me a room open. They didn't have a room open. So I was in surgery recovery for several hours. But the nurse that I had the whole time that I was there was a sweetheart. She was she laughed at all my jokes and just just a sweetheart. But she says she's reading the menu for me on what I can have because my wife had my glasses. They gave her my glasses before I went to surgery, so I couldn't see anything. And she's reading it off for me and says, yeah, Kyler, exactly. You guessed it. Says cheesecake. She says, oh, they got cheesecake. You can have it. Ooh, I can have cheesecake. I want cheesecake. Give me some cheesecake. Yeah.
I want some cheesecake.
I love cheesecake. And
I'm really hungry now.
And she come back later and says, I'm sorry, but they won't let you have cheesecake. I said, she goes, I'll see if I can sneak you some. Gave me a wink. She wasn't able to do it, but at least she tried.
There's a dislike on the stream, which means Duck Dog is probably out there somewhere.
Yeah, hey, Duck Dog.
Also good to see you, Owen Harmon. Always good to see you, mate. We got Mr. Dax, Batman. Maddie's in the chat as well. She was asking if it would be okay for her to come on.
Oh, well, yeah. If you want to send her a link.
Okay.
Yeah. I got no problem with that.
Mad Woman Muses. I remember when she used to go by that name.
Yeah. Maddie goes back quite a ways. In fact, I think Maddie started before I did. I'm not sure.
I remember her appearing.
Yeah.
One day and requesting to come onto a stream I was doing. And I just remember thinking, God damn, this woman's loud.
She is loud, but in her defense, she's Cuban. That's part of the culture.
I think the first time I met a Cuban was in Florida, in Miami. I think a Cuban was the second person I met actually on American soil.
Yeah, could be.
They were trying to sell me and the lads ion bracelets.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah.
But of course I can't say anything. I'm very loud. You guys can't see it, obviously, of course, and my house is wrecked, so I'm not going to turn the camera on today. But I have to keep the microphone a good piece away from my mouth because I'm naturally very loud. Voice carries. So
We can't help it. We're so used for one another in Cuban families that's our usual volume.
Yeah.
So we don't know we're being too loud till we look around and everybody's got that flat hand and they're just kind of patting the air down like, chill.
My ex-son-in-law used to complain all the time because he'd sit here, and we'd all be just going off and talking to one another and carrying on. He'd be in the corner cringing. What's the matter with you? He goes, man, you guys are so loud. You're killing me.
Oh, yeah.
I said, and you're a black guy and you're complaining about us being loud? Come on.
That's like what you were saying earlier about the diet. I had to laugh because my mom and my dad, this was many, many years ago, they were able to schedule their physicals at the same time. And my mom called me after they got their results back. And she said, your father is paying attention to your nutrition and stuff for all the wrong reasons. I said, why? She goes, on the way home, part of his test results came back and they said his cholesterol was high. So he was going to have to go on a low cholesterol diet. So this is your father in the car. According to our daughter, barley is good for me. Beer is in barley, therefore beer is good for me.
I like his thinking.
Hops is good for me, according to our daughter in her herb book. So, and hops is in beer, so I don't have to give up my beer. She said, I looked at him and she goes, I love you, sweetheart, but I don't think the doctor was referring to the fermented kind.
Yeah, probably not. I've been on a low cholesterol diet, or supposedly on a low cholesterol diet, for years now. And for the most part, I stick to it, but I do fudge it once in a while. I mean, everything that I love to eat as a redneck is bad for me. My favorite thing in the world to eat are fried taters. I could eat fried taters for every meal every day and be perfectly happy.
Well, I mean, look at.
No, that's not a part of a low cholesterol diet.
Honey, please. Low cholesterol and Cubans don't mix. I mean, roast pork, black beans and rice, fried plantains.
Shut up, Bear. You think I wasn't paying attention? I've always got the chat up unless I'm reading a story.
I don't know what you're talking about, mate.
Yeah. Exactly, Jen. Everything that's bad for you also tastes good. It also tastes very good. It's a conspiracy, I tell you. Conspiracy.
Yeah.
I hope everybody's day is going well, though. We'll get off our diets. We'll get off it.
Yeah. We will have to discuss a few negative news stories, I suppose, before we get into the articles and stuff that Bloodwing and I have managed to grab prior to the live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, though, let me do something I don't normally do. It's getting really warm in the house here, and I just realized I haven't turned the air on yet today. And we're currently in the 70s, so it's pretty warm. Let me go flip the air on real quick. I'll be right back.
Let's have a look what that is in proper temperature format.
About 20. I think it's about 26 Celsius. I think
20 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's have a look. That's 21 degrees Celsius. That's pretty warm. That is pretty warm. It's also warming up here in the UK at the moment. Very sunny today. Very beautiful day. And it's warm enough for t-shirt. It's t-shirt weather now, guys. So I'm a happy chappy. I'm glad the warm weather is back. Only downside is obviously the bugs have decided to make a return. So opening my office door, I start getting flies and stuff coming in here. And I'm sure at some point a big dirty spider, that big one from last year that I ended up doing battle with a hard brush, I think it's going to return for its vengeance. I think it's going to try and eat me.
How close was I, Bear? How close was I?
You what did you say? 26 degrees Celsius?
Yeah.
You're 5 off, mate. It's 21 degrees Celsius. If you're saying 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
I think the temperature's about 75 or 76 the last I looked at it.
Okay, so that probably is then 26 Celsius, roughly about.
I've been trying to get to where I can fairly accurately guesstimate what the Celsius would be. I'm trying to teach myself.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Now, of course, the temperature is going to drop as the week goes on because we got thunderstorms moving in. Of course we do. It's springtime in Indiana.
Yep. Springtime in the U.S. where it rains in the central and the east coast until June, and then you're in drought by August.
Oh, heck yeah.
How that happens, I have no clue. We're looking for Noah for the first 4 or 5 months of the year, and then we're looking for water at the end.
I could remember, now this is many years ago, but I can remember one year that it was so bad here, drought-wise, we hadn't had rain for so long. I've talked often about the camping that our church used to do every year around the 4th of July. We haven't for many years now because my parents sold that property. But there was one year that we were not allowed to have an open fire, which kind of puts the kibosh on camping, right? But we did it anyway. And what we did instead was took a lantern and stuck it in the middle of the fire pit and stared at the lantern. Since we weren't allowed to have a fire. But yeah, like he said, Bear, there's some depressing news that we're going to have to cover since this is my first stream since it hit. And of course, chief among them is probably Sri Lanka. The most current news, at least that I've seen, is that it has now been verified that this is in response to the New Zealand attack.
Yeah.
Imagine my shock.
Yeah, I'm still gathering sources and stuff to make a proper video on it. That way I don't miss anything.
Yeah, that was a statement given by the Sri Lankan government, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mum's been there a couple of times to do Christian outreach work herself. And this really hit home for her. And I had a bit of a heart-to-heart with her because the story really upset me. Because yet again, Christians find themselves being the most persecuted people on the planet.
Yeah, and that gets swept over, and that is proven by statistics and fact.
She sarcastically inserts Easter worshippers. They're Easter worshippers, guys.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah,
we got a lot of flack on Twitter and whatnot because we made a big deal about that.
Yeah,
but I think all those people completely missed the point of what we were trying to say. They were avoiding like the plague, saying that it was Christians because they didn't want to upset the Muslim community.
Exactly.
And I don't like what social media has kind of turned me into over this kind of shit. Like when it happened, I didn't want to immediately be like, oh, gotcha, leftists, where's your outrage? Yeah. And I had to point it out in the end. With New Zealand, the leftists on Twitter, I'm not talking about mainstream media, guys, because the mainstream media did cover it. I'm talking about the thousands of Twitter accounts that were spurging out over the New Zealand shooter, making it a massive issue. This is why we punch Nazis and stuff like that. Okay. But what about this? I know it's whataboutery, but what about this? Where's your outrage for this?
Right. And if this really is in response to the New Zealand, it's like, okay, well, 26 of our people died over here, so let's kill hundreds of yours that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. I saw this really just the most pathetic argument I've ever seen today, and I can't remember who it was, but they were saying, it wasn't like not all 290 of them were Christians, and that's why they didn't say they were Christians and they were just Easter worshippers. Shut up.
Well, of course they weren't all Christians. They also targeted hotels. I think that, and by that, I assume that what they were trying to do was get as many Christians and as many Westerners, UK Americans, people in Western society as they could.
And I believe none of those were Brits. At least 2 of them were US UK dual citizens. I'm not sure whether they were like living in America or living in Great Britain. I don't know the story there.
Yeah, I just know they had dual citizenship.
And there was that horrific the 3 children of the ASOS CEO were killed in the terror attack. 290 people in total, and another further 500 odd were injured in the process.
Hey, Six, how you doing? Necrosol. Yeah, don't chat and drive, okay?
Yeah, right.
All right. I'm glad you're listening, though. All right. But yeah, I mean, it's sad, you know, that's the world that we live in, and that people think that it's okay because I don't agree with your religion or your politics that I kill you, you know.
I'm not sure. I mean, Owen brings up a fantastic point about escalation and the cycle of violence when it comes to this thing. As you said, you know, it was Christchurch, and Christchurch was a result of things like grooming gangs and previous terror attacks on, the Western population. And this was, of course, a revenge attack because of Christchurch. I'm not sure how the next stage would happen. Whether it would be like a far right, like white guy, or whether it would be like a Tamil tiger or something like that. I don't know what the situation is going to be there.
That it stops here and doesn't escalate. Yeah,
I hope so.
Let's stop it right here, folks. Let's, it doesn't need to get worse. Real quick, thank you to Batman for your donation. In Bloodwing's laboratory lives the smartest redneck you've ever seen, but Irate Bear blows his experiments to smithereens. There's doom and gloom when things go boom in Bloodwing's lab.
Bloodwing's laboratory. It's the smartest ball you've ever seen.
Hi, Brick Gamer Girl. How you doing? And I do try to respond to all you guys, I'm still small enough to be able to do that. I've been on some of the streams of much larger channels, and good God, that chat goes so fast. There's no way.
Right?
No way.
Yeah.
The other day, Bear and I were on it wasn't a stream. It was a premiere.
Neves Gaming's premiere of their finale.
I just happened to see him post there, and so I posted at him, "Hey, Simius." And after that, I didn't see much more. If he stayed for the whole thing and was tweeting at me, or posted to me, I couldn't see it because it was moving way.
Yeah, it was flying by, wasn't it?
But
hey, Simius, what's going on, man?
While I'm small enough, I do try to acknowledge everybody because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you guys.
Right?
Speaking of, please like and share the stream because YouTube's not going to. And if you want to help a person out, help an old man out, there are ways you can do that monetarily. And if you'll notice, yes, super chats are back, because that means I got my situation fixed, which and there are also links for my Streamlabs and Patreon in the description.
So what they say the problem was?
They didn't. I never got a response from AdSense. And yes, that's what my title is about. When I say finally I have some sense to again, it's AdSense. AdSense never got back to me in any way, shape, or form. Total crickets. Total crickets. I finally got help by going to the community and getting help from a fellow patron of AdSense. Helped me figure it out. And it was so simple. I could have had this fixed. The way it is now, not having gotten it fixed until late last night, I'm probably not going to get any money out of it until next month's cycle.
Yeah.
But it was so simple. I have a middle name, and I am also a junior.
Mm-hmm.
So officially I have to sign everything with my full name, which I won't disclose here. You won't trick me into it? No.
Oh,
But in AdSense, there's a place in your account settings where you put your name, what name everything's supposed to be under. Then when you go to your tax information, it auto-populates the name there from what you have in your AdSense. Below that, it asks for a first name and a last name when you're filling out the tax information. At least for me as an American, I have to fill out the W-9. And I was putting my first and last name in those, and it kept saying, no, it doesn't match. And then it would show what I had in AdSense and says it has to match this. I said, well, that's what I'm putting in.
Yeah.
Thank you, the Batman. 'Twas sorcery, bloodwing, vile sorcery. Come to find out, I had to in the first name, and I'm saying this in case anyone out in the chat runs across this particular problem with AdSense. In the first name field, I had to not only put my first name, but also spell out my middle name.
Oh.
In the last name field, I had to put my last name, which also had to be followed by my suffix, which is Junior.
Wow. Okay.
Once I put that in there, it took it. And there's absolutely nothing on the W-9, nothing on AdSense that tells me that.
Wow.
It just simply said first and last name. But I thanked the person greatly because they went into a lot of detail, explained exactly how to do it. I thanked them very much, but no. AdSense never got back to me, either through AdSense, email, or Twitter.
Yeah, they're not very good.
AdSense, if anybody works for AdSense is listening, your customer service sucks balls.
It's a customer disservice.
Jesus Christ. But yeah.
It's probably because like AdSense is used by like big companies and stuff as well, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, that's open for you again, guys. If that's your preferred method of giving monetarily to me, then there it is. Yeah. So back to Sri Lanka. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because dadgum, it's just depressing. It's freaking depressing.
Well, it's a travesty is what it is. And it's disgusting. I hope that anybody else involved in the bombing is arrested.
Yeah.
And waterboarded to the brink of their life, end of life. And I did see the footage that was captured of one of the bombers walking through the street and into the church. They obviously didn't show the moment where he detonated, but it did show him wandering through the street, patting a child on the head before wandering into the church and, of course, detonating.
Right.
Wow.
It's just, look, guys, violence is never the answer to your disagreements. Never. You know, many years ago, for reasons that I shall not disclose here, but I had to take an anger management course. And one of the best things I ever did. I used to have a really, really bad temper.
Angry man.
And I would excuse it, as many people with bad tempers do. Well, you know, they made me do it. They wouldn't shut up, or, you know, they said this or what that. So it's their own fault. And my anger management class taught me something that I remember to this day and has helped me a lot in curbing my bad temper. I still have a bad temper, but I'm able to control it much better. No matter what anybody does to you, no matter what anybody says to you, it is still your choice on how you react to it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, folks, just say no to the violence. Come on.
Just like what I told my son, because my son gets a wonderful dose of not only, you know, the Latino temper, but his father is Cherokee and Scottish. So, yay, for temper, he gets it honest. And he was telling me, how to, how do I control this, Mom? What do you do? I said, first of all, you have to know that there are two immutable truths in this life. The only person that you can the only thing that you can control in this world is you and your actions, and everything else you can't control. Those are the two immutable truths. I said, however, it takes more courage, more wherewithal, and more patience to walk away from a situation when somebody's yelling at you than it is to belt them one. And then he responded with, well, belting them one makes you feel better afterwards. I said, yes, but remember, we're allergic to jail. We break out in orange jumpsuits.
Been there, done that. Don't want to go back.
Right?
I'm telling you. Yeah, it's jail. Is not a good place to be, guys. It's everything they say it is and worse.
Yeah.
Just take my word for it.
I'm sure
Okay.
there may be some people out there with some experience in the chat.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
let's just say Bloodwing was young and dumb once, so he knows what he's talking about. Let's get off that, because like I said, it just depresses the crap out of me, and it's still a breaking news story, so there'll be more to talk about at a later date.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, there's other things to talk about right now that are worthy of discussion.
Exactly. I'm going to kick us off with a story that will probably make you want to pull your hair out. Sanders says the right to vote should be extended even for terrible people like Boston Marathon bomber.
Nope.
Why?
Well, he'll explain, and I'll read this article, and then I'll tell you a tweet that I just seen just today concerning it on Twitter from somebody on my timeline that made me just groan. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says he thinks everyone should have the right to vote, even the Boston Marathon bomber. Yeah, exactly. Asked at a CNN town hall Monday night if he thought felons should be allowed to vote even while they're incarcerated, not just after they're released. Sanders said the country needs more people to vote.
Yeah.
If you want to encourage more people to vote, then speak to the demographic of people who are legally able to vote and haven't infringed on anybody else's rights, and I'll ask why they are so distant from the political sphere.
Sanders, you freaking moron. We don't need more people added to the voting pool. What we need is more response, more activity from those that are already capable and legally able to vote.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Yep.
Anyway, this is a democracy, and we have got to expand that democracy. And I believe every single person does have the right to vote, he said. Of course they do. But they lose that vote when they commit a felony.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't mean they don't have it. It's just part of the punishment process.
And you lose some of your human rights when you infringe on the rights of others. I'm afraid that's how society works. Exactly. Well, I mean, good society,
Mm-hmm.
Sanders started his answer by pointing out the low rate of voter turnout in the United States when compared to other major democracies around the world. He said one of the primary priorities of his campaign is to make the U.S. a vibrant democracy with a much higher voter turnout. And I can agree with that. But how in the heck is making it legal for people in prison to vote going to help that?
It isn't. The problem is with these generations after mine, say with the exception of my son and a few others in his generation, they have this mentality of our vote doesn't matter, so why should we? Because they're under this impression that our voting system is flawed, that the electoral college is crap, and it doesn't matter whether or not they vote. It's not going to go the way they want it anyway, so what's the point in voting? And then you have the other group of people that do vote that are fucking clueless, and then you have us.
Real quick, Kyler says changed for work, and I make grease stained denim and cotton look good. This being a beautiful man is a heavy cross to bear, and it Bloodwing. Don't you know it? Don't you know it? It's a bad thing. But anyway, yeah.
Functional asks a good question. Opinions, guys. What about once they finish their terms in prison?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that as the article goes on. It does broach that, and I'll give my opinion on that.
Okay.
Ann Sanders said, enfranchising people like, I can't say this name, Zokhar Sarnev. I think I'm close. The U.S. citizen who helped bomb the Boston Marathon in 2013, killing 3 and injuring hundreds of others, is a part of that. No, he's not. First of all, by doing that, he's shown that he doesn't have very good sense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
God.
He's a danger to society and disrespects everything about your country.
Exactly. So you want somebody that hates our country voting on what's right for our country? No, thank you. What's next? We're going to go overseas and ask the Iranians to vote?
Right.
What wasn't that a point some lunatic tried to say the other week? I can't remember who it was. They were trying to say that because America is the most powerful country in the world, then everybody in the world should get to vote.
Oh my God! The op-ed piece that Sinatra responded to. I remember that. I think it was.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter or something. I don't know who said it. I'm sure somebody in the chat knows who I'm talking about.
He goes on, yes, even for terrible people, because once you start chipping away and you say, well, that guy committed a terrible crime, not going to let him vote. Well, that person did that, not going to let that person vote. You're running down a slippery slope, Sanders said, when asked by a student if sex offenders, the Boston Marathon bomber, terrorists, and murderers should have voting rights. No, you're not, Bernie. What slippery slope you going down? It's simply this. If you're a felon, you lose the right to vote. That's no slippery slope.
And right too as well.
Yeah. I know what he's trying to say is once you start removing the right to vote from people, then it takes you down a slippery slope. But when you're very direct and you're very clear, no, if you're a felon, you lose the right to vote.
Yeah. I mean, it's always been that
go
way.
Down that slope.
It's always been that way, and we don't need to change it, because if you disrespect our country's laws to the point where you become a felon and you are in prison, not jail, there's a difference in between the two, then you lose a lot of rights. You lose your right to bear arms because you're a convicted felon. Yep. You lose your right to vote and a bunch of other things too.
He added, so I believe people commit crimes and they paid the price and they have the right to vote. I believe even if they're in jail, they're paying their price to society, but that should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy. What do you want to do, Bernie? You want to throw them a party? Want to give them cake and ice cream? Later on Monday, Senator Kamala Harris, in her own CNN town hall, said that she is open to allowing currently incarcerated people to vote, giving a non-committal answer to Sanders' proposal. Of course you did, and I'll explain more on that in a minute when I talk about the tweet. People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote, asked CNN's Don Lemon. Harris said, I think we should have that conversation. Her answer was vague and left open the possibility that she could eventually not support the plan. I agree that the right to vote is one of the most important components of citizenship, and it is something that people should not be stripped of needlessly, which is why I have been a long, God, CNN, get your act together. Jesus Christ. Which is why I have long been an advocate. I had to cut out like 4 words there because it repeated itself. Of making sure people formerly incarcerated are not denied the right to vote, Harris said. In some states, they're permanently deprived of the right to vote. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Peter Buttigieg, oh, his name cracks me up. Peter Buttigieg, Peter Gig in the butt, unequivocally said felons should not be allowed to vote. Oh, you're going to make me agree with them, aren't you? Should not be allowed to vote while serving their sentences. No, he said during his CNN town hall Monday, I do believe that when you are when you have served your sentence, then part of being restored to society is that you are part of the political life of this nation again. And one of the things that needs to be restored is your right to vote. He went on to say, losing the right to vote is part of the punishment when someone is convicted of a crime. You lose your freedom. And I think during that freedom, it does not make sense to have an exception for it, for the right to vote, Buttigieg said.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree.
Well, it's like irate prostate asked, well, what if they're proven innocent later? In other words, it's overturned.
Yeah, I have absolutely zero problem. And I think we need to have a conversation about people that have served their time. They've paid their debt to society, whether or not to reintegrate them into legal voting. And the same argument could be had on whether or not they should be able to bear arms again.
Yeah.
Now, I think you have to look at the crimes they committed. Have they shown remorse? Have they rehabilitated? Is there evidence that they'll, redo the crime or whatever? But I think there is a conversation to be had there.
Yeah.
But while they're incarcerated?
No.
Heck no.
Yeah. They're reaching. They're trying to find a voter base somewhere because they're still fighting the fact that some of us want voter IDs. When I don't see a problem with a voter ID law, because every time I go to vote, I have to present my driver's license. What is my driver's license? A form of identification. So I don't understand what the hell the problem is.
It's not, and it's not racist. And to go along with that, that brings me, thank you, Musi, for the nice segue. Because there's a follow-up to that. I don't have it on my Twitter right now, but Bernie also put out a tweet, which some moron on my timeline retweeted as in agreement with it, that went something like this. This is not an exact quote, but it's pretty doggone close. Close enough for government work. We need to give people in prison the right to vote because, and this is why I think Kamala Harris is for it, 60% of the people in our prison system are black. So to deny them the right to vote is racist.
Behave.
That's what I didn't say it. That's what he said.
Wow.
You have
So there we get.
You have a super chat there, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, Pumpkin Trucker, for the donation. Why do Dems want illegals and felons to vote? Did they run out of dead people and Disney characters? And that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Because it's racist and they want that black vote.
Yeah.
I think that is the crux of it. I think that is why they're going for it.
Yeah. It does make sense. Yeah. Black people, it's exactly the same in the UK. Do not fall for the left's bullshit. All right. They promise you all these things that will ultimately harm you and keep you down as a community. Right, there are many reasons why the minority communities in both America and the UK are in such shit states. All right. And they want you to be sucking on their teat of the welfare state.
Yeah.
That's where they don't do fuck all. They don't promote the idea of personal responsibility.
Thank you, the Batman, for the donation. What's next? Give fictional characters to vote. I don't know if they run out of people that don't have the vote that they want to give the vote. I guess they may go there. Who knows?
Yeah. I did find being the Census Bureau ex-census worker that I used to be. I did find something about the upcoming census.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says the justices seem ready to okay asking citizenship on census. Should have never been taken off. But
I agree. I don't see how in the world asking if you're a citizenship on the U.S. Census is racist. I mean, come on. The whole idea behind the census is to get an idea of what your population is made up of.
Thank you. And when you, because I used to work for the Census Bureau, when you sign all those papers and you get hired, one paper you have to sign is a non-disclosure agreement for 99 effing years. You can't even tell any of the other departments what's going on. In other words, you go to that house to do that census, and it doesn't matter what they tell you. If they tell you they're illegal, you just have to take down all the information and hand it back. You cannot call INS or ICE, excuse me. You can't call ICE or any of those other divisions and have them come pick up the illegals, because then you will be arrested for breaking your NDA.
Festering wound, he tells me you can already get your rights back. It takes time and money, though, and a court to small it your charge. Yeah, I'm aware. You got to jump through a whole lot of hoops. Sharati Story Time says there are people who have been put in prison jails because they were the closest to the crime. They later find the actual criminal. That is what I was talking about. I would think in that case, I would think in that case, wouldn't they absolve them of the crime, and then they're automatically given their rights back? I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, folks, no, I do not want to give people in prison the right to vote. That's a big no.
No. Agree. Big no. That's the whole point of prison, really, is to punish you. Of course, fucking Dems want bloody prisoners to be able to vote.
And I'm sure you're probably with Maddie and I on the after prison. Okay, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm of a mind, once you've left prison and you've got past your probation period, then you should be given the right to vote again. You've proven that you can be you paid your dues, and you've proven that you can be stable in society. I know that's not necessarily true for many people, but it does. So there are people who are rehabilitated.
Right.
Yeah. There are reoffenders and whatnot, but you still have to give people that chance. Still have to give people that chance.
Exactly. Okay. Anyway, that's the end of that story. What do you got there?
I have some news. But I suppose we could stick to the concept of human rights. You may have seen me start a bit of a shit show on Twitter today.
A little bit. I read a little bit of it. I didn't get involved in the discussion. But yeah.
I took a leaf out of Jeff Holliday's book, and I decided that I was going to kind of like throw a Molotov cocktail into the mix and kind of run away. And if I just pull it up, I started a poll on Twitter today. I'm just trying to find it. Give me a wee second. Here we go. So I asked a question on Twitter today. I said, started up a pretty interesting debate regarding what Jeff Holiday said last night.
See you, Kyler. Have a good day at work, dude.
Bye, Kyler. Have a good one, mate.
Bye, Kyler.
So yeah, Jeff started up a pretty interesting debate / conversation yesterday regarding healthcare as a human right. I know he doesn't take Twitter seriously, but it's a good topic. Do you believe that healthcare is a human right? Now, of course, as we know, human rights are something that we are intrinsically born with, and they are protected by government legislation. Of course, for most people, human rights, especially the ones who like understand the concept of it, would probably say the right to life, and a few other things are considered to be human rights. And of course, I started the conversation, about whether healthcare should be a human right or not. Of course, Owen says, you do not have the right to someone else's labor, and of course, that was one of the biggest arguments used against it. And I just want to get your thoughts on it, guys.
Well, and I think Mr. Dax has hit on what first I have to clarify. Are we talking about free healthcare or no?
Well, that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because I came across an organization that advocates for healthcare to be a human right, and I was reading through, and they didn't seem to want it to be free. They just said that they wanted it to be affordable and accessible by everybody in society. But let's just say for the argument's sake that I'm a government and I've decided that even though it's not what it actually means, but I'm a government and I've decided that healthcare is now a human right and we're going to have a national health service like the United Kingdom. Go.
Well, see that would make the difference for me. I feel that yes, for just basic human dignity, I think access to good health care should be a right, but I don't buy into the whole free thing. But I'm an American, so you know what our healthcare system is like.
Yeah. It kind of made me laugh actually because I'm seeing all these Americans and stuff, and I know your attitude towards things like socialized healthcare or anything that's socialized. Really, I know you don't like anything like that, whereas we're kind of used to it. Even though you do have social programs that you pay for with your tax money in America.
For one thing, the VA is sort of that. You know, for veterans, of course, it is an absolute freaking mess. Corrupt as hell. It's probably one of the most corrupt branches of our government there are, is the VA administration.
It should be one of the least, considering who it takes care of. But there you go.
Yeah, and the kind of health care that those veterans get is deplorable. It's awful, and I do know what I'm talking about because my cousin was a part of that, and my daughter is a veteran. So. Yeah, it's awful. It's terrible. Yeah. If you're going to give us free healthcare, it's got to be a whole lot better than that.
Yeah, no kidding.
And see, that is my issue as an American is, and that would be my argument against free healthcare, is that once you start making it free, who's going to pay the doctors and how much? Yep. Because we here in America, even though it's extremely, extremely expensive, and God, I wished it wasn't as expensive as it is. I mean, you all are aware I've just recently went through surgery and other healthcare problems.
Yep.
And it's going to come due to pay the piper here pretty soon. Because of that, I feel that we have a high level of healthcare because you get what you pay for, people. It's an old axiom, but it is so often true. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And if we start making it free, I can guarantee you the government is not going to pay those doctors the kind of wages that they're used to getting in the private market. And I'm afraid healthcare, the level of healthcare will go down. That would be my fear.
Yeah. I mean, my dad lucked out when he had to move to Minnesota to follow his job from Northwest, only to go out on picket line because of cuts and get fired. But the VA hospital there, he hasn't had a problem with. What he did have a problem with, being a Vietnam veteran, was it took them over 40 years to finally go, oh yeah, the cholesterol problems you can't seem to regulate, your high blood pressure, the problems you're having with your nerves, and that pesky problem with your foot. Yeah, that was us. That was that Agent Orange you were exposed to.
Yeah.
Oh, and the diabetes too. It's like, oh, really? It took you over 40 years to finally realize that exposing him to a toxic chemical screwed him up? Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Batman says, this is why I advocate for the enslavement of medical professionals. Hey, he's making a joke, but that's actually in ancient times, most doctors were slaves. Did you know?
Of course, slavery is one of the arguments a lot of people brought up. Lots of people say, no, you don't have the right to someone else's labor, and the idea of it being a human right and stuff would basically mean that, anybody could just walk up to like a doctor's house, knock on the door, and demand healthcare, which is bullshit. Guys, don't use the slavery argument. It's a really fucking bad argument. Because that just would never happen, right? When you need healthcare, you go to a hospital, you go to a doctor's. My argument against it being a human right protected by government legislation is, I'm going to read back what I said to Jeff after he quote tweeted me. No, he wasn't angry, but he said my argument was very good and it made him think.
Yeah, I see that.
And I said, Yeah, I don't buy into the slavery argument, but rather it's not or shouldn't be a right based on society needing to agree not to abuse their bodies. And this is the thing, isn't it? Getting fat, smoking, etc. is one of the reasons why the NHS is crumbling right now. Well, one of the reasons. And that's the thing. If you want to have it as a human right, and if you wanted to have a socialized healthcare system like we do here in the United Kingdom, you have to have society agree with you on not to abuse their bodies, which is just never going to happen because we also have the human right to self-integrity.
Yeah, which is exactly why I would never become a Democrat, because they want big government, and big government always tells you what to do. I mean, you know how on Twitter they show you promoted tweets and ads on your timeline.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's one I keep getting this from the soda pop, the soda industries, how Pepsi and Coke have gotten together to give you smaller portions. Well, screw you. It's my right to decide how big a soda pop I want to buy.
Yeah.
You know, and they've already done it. I mean, we all know today that the plastic bottles of Mountain Dew that you can go out and buy now are much smaller than the ones you used to be able to buy, you know, in a 6-pack. But that's also the reason that our healthcare in America here, or part of the reason, it's one of the reasons, is so expensive, because we have so many fat, lazy, unhealthy people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I explained myself correctly. I think that access to healthcare would be a basic human right. Access to free healthcare, no. I don't think so.
It always gets me when people say free, because it makes my eye twitch. Because I usually have to tell somebody that I'm talking to about it on Twitter or wherever that it's not quote unquote free. Your taxes pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's not free. You know, it's as much as people moan about the guy that I am about to quote, he's right. Rush Limbaugh said the only reason that Americans don't complain about the taxes in their paycheck is because they're not made to write a check for them every time they get paid. They're automatically taken out of your check. Because if you have to sit down and physically write that check for the taxes to mail it off every time you get paid, I guarantee you there'd probably be more people not writing that check than writing the check.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, chat. Of course, most of you, I figured, already knew this, but I say that there's too many fat, lazy, unhealthy people around as I sit here smoking my cigarette, drinking my Mountain Dew with my more than ample spare tire around my middle.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? I'm sat here, I am in favor of the NHS. I am genuinely in favor of the NHS, but I'm not in favor of the idea of it being the access to healthcare. Well, no, access to healthcare probably could be a human right, but healthcare itself being a human right is a different turn of phrase there. I'm saying all this, but I've just put out a cigarette. I've got a 2-liter bottle of Sprite next to me.
Exactly.
I've still lost weight though.
Now,
in terms of the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, the reason why it's falling to pieces is for many, 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 many reasons. And of course, one of those reasons are the people that use it. Fat people, smokers, that kind of stuff. And the actual biggest drain, bigger than both of those two, are old people. We have an aging population, guys. And
it's us boomers. It's our fault.
It's all the old people, you know, they're living longer, and care for older people costs loads of money, because you can fix somebody up like a healthy 20, 30 something up, but old people take a lot longer to heal up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
And they require a lot more drugs.
As I'm finding out the hard way. Maybe recover from this surgery.
Yeah.
And not just that, but the NHS itself over the years has been really badly mismanaged. There was a butt ton of bureaucracy within the NHS, too much middle management, people that aren't even healthcare professionals being paid mega bucks for their office jobs and stuff like that. Too much of that going on, bad management overall. And of course, the NHS within itself is always used as a political football. And government, like the Tories, the Conservatives, like to sell off parts of it and drop funding for other parts of it and whatnot. And and you've seen how bad the NHS can get, especially over the weekend. You can walk into accident and emergency on a Friday or Saturday night. You'll see people in there having to wait hours, covered in blood and whatnot. And when you finally get taken through to the hallway and then through to the next section where the ward is, you're going to see rows of old people just left in the corridor on hospital beds, just laid there.
Yeah, but me as an American and a conservative American, I don't like big government. That's why I'm a conservative. One of the reasons why I do not like big government. Get your nose out of my business.
Yep.
Just a quick reminder that big government in the United Kingdom has resulted in them trying to mess with our pizza portions.
Oh, it's happening over here too. Trust me. All the fast food joints are giving you smaller sodas and smaller portions, and
quick question for you. You're an American. Your cigarette and tobacco pouches, do they have pictures of dead babies on them?
No, but they have great big giant lettering that says, "Warning, this product contains nicotine."
Yeah.
I should hope so as well.
Thank you to Batman for the donation. We need to adopt the policies from Logan's Run. Yeah.
Just like, Lindsay said a couple of things in the chat about, somebody being hypocritical and then, her saying she's plus size herself. And I remember when I was married to my second husband, I walked in the kitchen, he was making breakfast. And when I say that when he cracked this egg in bacon grease, I don't mean enough bacon grease to keep it from sticking. I mean, it was floating in the bacon grease. And he got pissed off at me as I was walking out of the kitchen going, "What is that sound?" "Oh, yeah, that's the sound of arteries hardening." So I walked out of the kitchen and into the living room.
That's the sound of deliciousness is what it is.
It's like, to me, I don't have a problem with enough bacon grease in the pan to keep the stuff from sticking. But when it's floating in the bacon grease in order to cook, that's a little too much grease.
Music. I'm a redneck. We make everything with lard.
Yeah, my grandmother did too, and she's Cuban.
Oh, my grandmother, I remember that big can of lard was always right there by the stove. Which, if you don't know, folks, because it's kind of out of vogue now, lard is nothing but animal fat.
Yep.
But who was it? This is BG says, "Bloodwing, hear that? Irate Bear wants you to die off, so healthcare will be cheaper." I know, right? I just recently inserted myself into a Twitter thread that was complaining about all the old boomers,
Yeah.
and I just tweeted, sorry to break it to you folks, but I'm going to outlive all you kids.
Yeah.
Just to spite you.
Yeah. Well, like I've cooked with lard. My grandmother cooked with lard. I remember the first time somebody seeing me cook black beans from scratch. And by scratch, I don't mean opening a can, guys. I mean the dried beans, by throwing a ham hock in it. And one of my friends was like, "Well, you could do it leaner." I said, "You're talking to a Cuban. The ham hock goes in. There's no such thing as lean black beans. I'm sorry. If I can't have the fat, it ain't going to taste like anything." But yeah, my grandmother used to do that. And then she cracked me up because when the last time we had visited her before she wound up in the hospital, they had given her one of those sample bottles of the prescription drug that's supposed to lower your cholesterol. I forgot the name of the thing. And I told her, I said, that one of the major side effects is it messes with your liver. So she walks into the kitchen and she's looking at the can of lard and she's looking at the sample bottle of the cholesterol pills. And then she looks back at the lard, back at the sample bottle. She picks up the sample bottle, walks over to the garbage, throws it in the garbage and goes, "I have enough medical problems. I don't need to add to the repertoire."
Oh, Bloodwings just fell out of the Hangouts.
Uh-oh.
I'm just wondering whether it's his internet or whether the Hangout bugged out for him.
Or his computer could have hiccuped.
Yeah, that's very true. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go.
Okay, that was fun.
That happened again.
My all my browsers decided to crash. They just went bye-bye.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Hope I get back in time because if the person that started the thing doesn't get back in time, it will go off the air.
Oh yeah.
Ah,
I mean, you guys in the chat, Cubans take, pig fat and deep fry it. That's what chicharrones are. And I don't mean the little cracklings from the small little 99-cent bags. I mean, these things are as long as from your wrist to your elbow and are about an inch and a half thick. I mean, those kind of pork rinds.
oh, I love pork rinds.
Yeah.
They are so bad for you, but I love them.
Right? If it's full of fat, it tastes good, and we're all over that shit. I mean, really.
All right. Excuse me while I try to get all my windows back open again. All right.
Yes,
I'll tell you what,
Lindsay, chicharrones and guarapo. And for those of you that don't know what guarapo is, that's pure sugar cane juice.
I have a couple of articles that I'd like to go through whilst we're on the stream, guys.
All right.
And while Bloodwing's doing that, I shall work my way through them.
Well, I've got them open now, but while you're doing that, I'm going to take my once a stream, sometimes twice a stream, bathroom break.
Your once a stream.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're going to go have a stream.
So if you said 64 minutes, then you win.
Yeah.
Then you win. Okay, this is an article from the internationalhighlife.com, a nice drug-related news outlet. Undercover cops posing as drug buyers arrested by undercover cops posing as drug dealers. Fantastic. A huge mistake led to police officers arresting each other. Undercover police went to Detroit and posed as drug dealers. However, thanks to a mess up, another police group thought that they were real drug dealers. And so they raided the house in what turned out to be one of the most embarrassing things ever seen in the department, according to the police chief. Oh, God, that's fantastic. The incident occurred when officers from the 12th precinct in Detroit went undercover with the purpose of pretending to be drug dealers so they could arrest buyers. Two buyers went into the house where the pretend drug dealing police officers were, but they were actually police going undercover to arrest people selling drugs. They were the 11th precinct of Detroit police. They began to search the place when they arrived, and they were wearing body cams that captured the whole incident of the officers fighting and punching each other. Oh my God. So they ended up in a bloody brawl. I suppose it could have been worse. They could have ended up shooting each other. Good Lord. It was said that the whole incident turned out to be something like you would see on the Keystone Cops silent films. Now, the event has sparked an investigation. This is not the first time that something similar has happened. During the 80s, an incident occurred that saw two police officers killed. And of course, this could have happened with this. Luckily, it didn't. And they can walk away and just kind of laugh it off a little bit. But yeah, it could have resulted in that kind of thing. And I'm very glad that it didn't. While it is understood that when going undercover, only those that are immediately involved can know what is happening, it can bring about unwanted consequences and mistakes. It seems that in this case, the Detroit police kept the undercover operation to undercover, as one department pretending to be drug buyers arrested the other pretending to be drug dealers.
Pretending to be drug dealers.
I'll just reread the headline just for you, mate.
Okay.
Undercover cops posing as drug buyers arrested by undercover cops posing as drug dealers.
Yeah, that was a good one. Oh God!
Keystone Cops.
Yep.
And while obviously it's funny and stuff, they did result in beating the crap out of each other, but it could have got a lot worse. I'm really glad that it didn't. They could have ended up shooting each other, and that would not have been good. That really would not have been good. But I'm very glad it was just a bit of a punch up, and then they probably realized, actually, okay. But yeah, They're faithless. They outsmarted themselves. I know, right?
That's like
And
when I used to work at a convenience store, there were 4 police officers standing around this round table when you heard over the radio a 29 domestic call us, a violent domestic dispute. 3 of them were pointing at each other around the table, and the 4th one literally stuck his hands in the air and went, "I took the last one. I'm out."
Dr. Phobos, if you got a story, send it. Either put a probably the best way is to send it to if you've got Twitter, send it to the hashtag, which is in the description. Or if you don't have Twitter, just go ahead and put the link in the chat. I think chat will allow you to put the links in now if you're not a moderator. I think.
why? Oh, Black Clover's trending in the UK, I think, for some reason. That's an anime that I like.
It's
Just
a good
FYI.
one.
It's a very good anime, actually. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. I have another article, unless you wanted to switch, Bloodwing.
No, you can go ahead. I'm going to take a look at this that Dr. Phobos put in the chat there.
Okay, this is from Campus Reform. Stanford Flyer, massages and acupuncture only for trans/non-binary students. I'm not a weeb, opinionated Scotsman. I actually shower. A flyer at Stanford advertised massages and acupunctures, but only for transgender and non-binary students. A spokesman at the California school is denying this exclusionary element. Funny.
Batman, I'm always reading the chat. I see everything that you say.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ignoring you.
Mm-hmm.
Calm down. Calm your tits.
You friggin' walking, talking dad joke of a man. A queer student group at Stanford University recently advertised free massages, sound healing, whatever that is, and acupuncture, but only for transgender and non-binary students. Need a break? We got you. The event flyer, a copy of which Campus Reform obtained, reads, flyer, the event is sponsored by the Stanford Students for Queer La Resistance and Trans Liberation Student Group and Queer Student Resources. These kids, man, they're so desperate for just to present themselves as fighting the good fight. Yeah, we are La Resistance. Who are you fighting? Who are you resisting?
Straight people.
Where's your underground base?
Where's your moon base?
Where's your beret? Come on, amateurs. This event is open to trans and non-binary students, staff, and faculty only. The ad promoting the Wednesday event says sound healing available to all, 20 minutes. Massage and acupuncture available by appointment.
Wait. It's only open to them.
Yeah.
And this is where was this?
Stanford University.
That's against the law.
Certainly sounds like it, yeah.
It is. Nobody will call them on it.
Except for Campus Reform, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Because if that was a white-only event, oh, good Lord have mercy.
I have a Florida woman, I guess.
I have more, unless you wanted to switch over.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Take a look at this article that they just gave me in chat. It's just simply titled Reporting Hate. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is responsible for tracking hate crimes across the country, but the data the data is notoriously unreliable. Oh, good Lord. People, if you want to be a journalist, learn to write. Despite the FBI recording an all-time high in hate-motivated incidents in 2017, the most recent year's statistics available, the number is likely much higher. Low reporting from victims to police and inconsistent reporting from police to federal authorities have created a massive gap in how we understand hate in America. Researchers from the University of Utah want to fill that gap with an app. Of course they do. Emily Nicolosi, researcher, and Richard Medina, professor of geography, along with the Digit Lab, developed an app that allows people to report incidents of hate. Oh, that won't be misused at all.
Mm-hmm.
The first of its kind, the app accepts reports beyond crimes captured in police records. Users from around the country can document all incident types, from derogatory epithets written in bathrooms, oh Lord, to slurs yelled from a car window, in addition to violent assaults. The major problem we're dealing with is that hate crimes are so underreported, not only to police, but from police to the federal government, said Nicolosi. That's because those aren't hate crimes. There are cases when it can be difficult to report hate to the police.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Did we lose Bloodwing again?
Blood? You still there? Blood! Blood!
We has no sound.
Can you hear us, mate? We can't hear you.
Papa!
Ladies and gentlemen, we appear to have lost Bloodwing again. I think his audio was cut out. I'm not entirely sure whether it's from the Hangout or whether it's his microphone. But whilst he's sorting himself out, I shall move on to a different article. And then if he comes back, then we'll manage to continue with the story. And of course, this is a news story from AOL.co.uk. So something you don't really hear about a lot these days. Austrian prison escapee returns, fed up of life in the sun.
Yep.
You got fed up of living life in the sun, so you went back to prison. Okay.
Live in the woods or something? A cave, you know?
You have options, dude. You have options there. A man who says he fled an Austrian prison over a decade ago, good Lord, has turned himself into police in Salzburg, telling them he was fed up with living in Spain's Canary Islands. All right, mate. Well, if you're fed up with it, I'll take it. Police said the 64-year-old, carrying two suitcases, went to police at Salzburg's railway station Saturday night and told them he was a fugitive prisoner who had just arrived from Munich airport. And maybe he was a ginger Batman. Maybe he was. He was sick of being burnt to death. They said in a statement Monday that he told officers he had spent the past 10 and a half years in Tenerife. It's a good chance I may have bumped into him. I've actually no. When was I in Tenerife? 2010. Late 2010, I was last in Tenerife. So yeah, probably a popular vacation island, and wanted to return home because Tenerife is not as nice as it used to be, and he had lived there long enough. Well, he's certainly correct there. I mean, Tenerife has got a little bit downhill, to be honest. Police verified that he had fled a prison in eastern Austria. He was taken to a Salzburg jail. And if anybody is interested in that story, I shall drop it. I can't drop it because the link's too bloody long. Okay, fair enough. Whatever. I'll just delete that then. Just Google it if you want to go have a look at that, guys. Bloodwing's left the Hangouts.
Yeah, apparently, I guess his computer might have crashed or something.
Okay, I'll just check DMs real quick. Nothing from his end. Guys, if he's gone too long, the Hangout will shut down. The stream will stop. Yep. So hopefully he'll come back. If he doesn't, then... Oh, there he is.
Yay!
Oh, do you have any idea how long I was reading before I realized that I read that entire article.
Whilst you were doing that, I read one of mine.
Before I realized that I was no longer in the Hangout, I started thinking, wait a minute, nobody's saying nothing. Nobody's making a noise.
As soon as you stopped talking, we were like, Papa, Bloodwing, hello, are you there?
Well, it didn't shut down all my browsers. At that time, it gave me the, oh, snap, something happened. Do you want to reload thing? But it only done it on the one window, so I didn't see it because I was reading that article. At any rate, the article amounted to pretty much what I'd already read to you. They want to do this app to report hate incidences.
Well,
Like that won't be abused at all.
Right?
Are you guys trying to turn into us?
Part of us seem to be.
Oh, yeah, part of us. Yeah.
The millennials certainly seem to want to become you, if not Soviet Russia.
Good grief.
I have a Florida woman story, but it's not a stupid one.
Oh,
wait a minute. I don't believe it.
She wasn't
I
naked.
do not believe it that you have a Florida woman story and it's not stupid.
Senior slugger, 65-year-old woman hits burglar with bat.
Oh, I read that. Yeah, I read that. Good on her. Before you get into that, Dr. Phobos did mention, and I don't know when I cut out, so how much of it you heard. Yes, the app is now available on Google Play and will be available on the iPhone very shortly.
Yep.
I bet the article's missing out some key details. She hit the guy with a baseball bat as she was naked riding an alligator whilst high on meth.
Go ahead, Maddie. Go ahead and read it. I don't think it's probably a long article.
No, it isn't. It's a short one. It said, when a Florida woman heard a noise and saw a man trying to break into her car early Sunday, she took matters into her own hands. Clarice Gainey, 65 of Gainesville, tells WGFL, Clarice, yeah, that she picked up her softball bat early Sunday, braced herself, and eased open the door before hitting Antonio Mosley. I took that bat and hit him upside the head like Pia! Gainey said, adding that the 5'6", 300-pound man said, "Ow!" I hit him with a bat. Mosley ran to a nearby mobile home park, leaving behind his pants, shirt, and a sock, police said. A K-9 unit tracked him down, and Gainey says she easily identified him because of the knot on his head. Gainey says she played softball in high school and can still swing a bat. He better be glad I didn't have a gun, Gainey said, because I would have shot him. Mosley is being held in the Alachua County Jail on burglary and drug charges. A lawyer isn't listed on jail records.
Good on you.
Mm-hmm.
Good on you. I keep telling the younger people today, like my daughter, Mama Minnie, you know, some of you know, especially if you read my Twitter, you know that she has somebody stalking her. And I asked her if she wanted to come over there, come out there to Michigan and whoop them. I'm only 4 hours away. I can be there in 4 hours. And she replied, "No, you'll hurt yourself." Hey, don't underestimate us old people.
Nope.
Don't underestimate. I might pay for it later. But adrenaline is a really powerful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good on her. What you got there, Bear?
I have some news, sir. I have some news. You didn't hear the news story about the guy who escaped prison 10 years ago and had been living in Tenerife, which of course is a holiday island off the coast of Northwest Africa, and decided that he'd had enough of living in the sun and took his ass back to jail.
He did what?
He took his ass back to jail. He had enough.
He'd rather be in jail than in paradise.
He's like, oh, Tenerife's not what it used to be. So instead of like going to a different one like Gran Canaria or someone like that, he just like, no, I'm going to go back to prison.
Sarah says, "I'll whoop someone's butt for you, Bloodwing. I'm in Michigan." And a lot of people, Monkey's in Michigan. And yeah, she's got it handled. I was only half joking when I asked her that. Her boyfriend's escorting her everywhere. The problem is right now the cops say there's nothing they can do because he hasn't actually done anything yet.
I hate that stupid caveat. Oh, in Georgia there is anti-stalker laws, but holy shit, really? He's got to do something first?
But her boyfriend is escorting her everywhere she goes and keeping an eye on her house. So yeah. She's taken care of as well as she can be under the circumstances. Appreciate it though. Might call on you later when if it gets out of hand. So the guy wants to go back to jail.
Yeah, instead of like going to somewhere, like Gran Canaria or one of the other holiday islands or Spain, He took his ass back to Austrian prison.
That makes no sense.
He said, Tenerife's not what it used to be, so I'm going to go back to prison where it's where they keep it real.
Faithless as does she have a gun? She's a Marine. What do you think? Both my daughters, both my daughters pack. Just a word of warning: if you want to mess with any one of my daughters, yeah, they both carry.
I'm sure she'll be fine, mate.
Yeah,
I'm sure she'll be fine. She'll kick his ass, I'm sure. But I have a bit more news, and my favorite president in the world, the Philippines president, is in the news again. Philippines, I can't pronounce the guy's name. Duterte threatens war if Canada doesn't take trash back.
I want to see a war between Canada and Philippines. I would pay money to see a war between Canada and the Philippines.
Oh my God.
You've got these Canadians on moose back riding into battle, and you've got all these little Filipino motherfuckers just running in trying to stab people to death. Oh God. I will drop the article in the chat if anybody wants to follow along as I read it.
That reminds me of my story that I've told on this stream of when I declared war in the little United Nations in school. I may retell that story because I've picked up several subs then. At some point, if you haven't noticed, I've gave story time a little bit of a break. It's because I was kind of running out of interesting stories. I've got a lot of other stories, but they're not what I would consider interesting to you. But at some point, I'll bring them back and we'll go around again with them, you know. But
I'll continue reading.
Read.
Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte, I'm butchering his name, I'm sure, threatened to declare war if Canada doesn't take back the trash a Canadian company sent there more than 6 years ago, according to a local media report. If Canada doesn't reclaim the garbage as early as next week, holy crap, Duterte said he would send the garbage back himself. I want a boat prepared. I'll give a warning to Canada, maybe next week, that they better pull that thing out or I will set sail to Canada and I'll pour the garbage there. And I believe him as well. Duterte said during a briefing about a recent earthquake. I cannot understand why they are making us a dump site, he said. If Canada didn't listen, Duterte said, we'll declare war against them. Translated from Filipino, Duterte also added, we'll fight with Canada. We can take them down. I'll return their trash. Just wait and see. He's like a really mad neighbor, isn't he?
Little feisty little fella, ain't he?
He is, yeah.
You left out the part where you're going to have a lot of Canadian soldiers defect because island food is best food.
Oh my God. And the thing is I believe him because this guy is genuinely nuts. When he became president, he was like, right, I'm going to kill all the drug dealers. And lo and behold, he actually sent his police to go kill loads of them. He's not messing around.
Oh, Richo8181. Oh my gosh, I've got to read this. Irate Bear, I think Canada might win. They have Andy Worski in his gang. Good one. I needed that.
Oh dear. I'll continue to read. I'll load the containers to a ship and I will advise Canada that your garbage is on the way. Stressing Canada was belittling the Philippines. Prepare a grand reception. Eat it, brackets, the garbage, if you want to. More than 6 years ago, Chronic Inc., a Canadian plastics exporter, dumped more than 100 shipping containers of garbage disguised as plastics for recycling into the Philippines. The containers arrived in Manila in 2013 and 2014. The trash consisted of used adult diapers.
Adult diapers?
Yes, sir. Adult diapers. Newspapers, plastic bottles, and bags. Some experts have said the garbage violates international law. Last week, Anthony Ho, a lawyer for the Pacific Center for Environmental Law and Litigation, said the shipments violate multiple parts of the Basel Convention, a 30-year-old treaty that prevents countries from shipping hazardous waste to the developing world without their consent. Trudeau has acknowledged that the garbage has been a long-standing irritant for the Philippines. During a 2017 trip to Manila for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit, Trudeau told Duterte that Ottawa was working on the issue. I committed to him, as I am happy to commit to you all now, that Canada is very much engaged in finding a solution on that, Trudeau said at the time. During the past several years, Duterte has been at odds with Trudeau after the Canadian Prime Minister citing human rights abuses in the Philippines. Last year, Duterte even cancelled a business deal between the two countries after Canada ordered a review into the contract over human rights abuses.
Good Lord. I would still pay money to see this fight.
I could see old Rodrigo there offering Trudeau to a back alley fight. 1v1 me, bruh.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, hello, Joys of Sorrow, and hello, Lupus Damon. Yeah. He's scrappy little fella.
Yeah,
I like that though. I like that.
Yeah, he's not to be fucked with either.
Yeah.
I'm sure Canada would probably be all right, but I don't think it'll get to that stage. But like, when that guy says something, he does mean it.
Yeah. And thank you, Lupus Damon, for the donation. Hello, hello, hello. I had a story that I wanted to read that was important to me, being of the age group that I'm in. But when everything shut down a while ago, I lost it. So I'll just discuss what it was about. Apparently, according to current statistics, Social Security will run out of money by the year 2035, and we'll have to give people only a third of the money that they have coming. I don't know how correct that is, but being as I will be 65 in 6 years, yeah, it's one I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are not American, don't understand, our Social Security was a system set up that we Americans pay into out of our paychecks weekly. We pay a little amount every year for every year that we work, so that when we're 65, we have a little bonus to our retirement. It's really not enough, even as it is, to live off of.
Nope.
It's not. It's very little. But dadgummit, I earned it, and I won it. You know, it's mine. That's my money.
Yeah. We keep having this problem because they put it in the general fund. They actually put all the Social Security money in the general fund instead of leaving it alone and not touching it.
Yeah. But and of course, at the same time, we have politicians, Bernie and others that or what's her name, Miss Pocahontas, that want to take Medicaid or Medicare and give it to everybody, not just the old folks. You know,
Yeah.
We're already running out of money for us old folks.
Right.
Quit taking my money and giving it to the kids. Let them earn their own like I did.
Yeah, I think the other one that had that idea was asinine occasional cortex. I mean AOC. Oh shit, never mind.
Yeah. And yes, Jen, we have senior discounts in my state, and I already qualify for most of them. So, and don't think I won't take advantage of them too. But yeah, anyway, I did have an article on that I wanted to read, but yeah, when everything shut down a while ago, I lost it, and I'm just not up to looking it up again. So, did you have more, Bear?
Yes, I did. This is over to the Tokyo Reporter. Anime news. Nani? Not really. Tokyo police open investigation after cart seen driving over Rainbow Bridge. Tokyo Metropolitan Police have launched an investigation after a rented go-kart was seen traveling on a restricted highway for such a vehicle on Sunday. At just past 9 p.m., a staff member at a Shuto Expressway toll gate at Odaiba tipped off police about the cart traveling on the highway. A patrol car was later dispatched to locate the vehicle. However, it failed to do so. In the video footage posted on social media, the cart is seen traveling in the far left lane of traffic as it crosses the Rainbow Bridge, which spans Tokyo Bay in the direction of Odaiba. Police are now analyzing security footage taken from the expressway to identify the cart. The cart can be rented from a number of services in the capital. So this is pretty much Mario Kart at this point. There is a video, but the video footage isn't that great. But yeah. So there you go. You have real life Mario Kart there, guys. There you go.
Real life Mario Kart, huh?
Perhaps he was dropping bananas off behind him to try and get the police to spin out or something. I don't know.
Something did just occur to me, though, Bear, and it's something we had discussed earlier, and I said we would discuss, and we haven't yet. Your video that you premiered today.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that for a minute, and then let's discuss it.
Okay. Well, I made a video and I released it to the main channel, RA Bear, today, and it was a response to a quote-unquote comedy group from Chicago called 3 Pete. And their little sketch that they performed on Comedy Central was the idea of a white tax.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't funny at all in the slightest. The audience didn't laugh at all. In fact, they cheered it on.
See you, Batman.
See you later, Batman. And it was a very colorful kind of skit where they basically said that, we would achieve equality by carrying out what they call a white tax. So if you're a white guy and you did something racist, they would take something away from you, basically. Now, of course, these examples that they were given were extremely unrealistic, were really, really out there, hyperbolic in nature, obviously very silly, and it's obvious that they didn't mean it literally, but the way that it was presented and the way that it came across felt very much like a TED Talk.
Oh, it did. Absolutely.
And I get the feeling that if they could institute a genuine, racist tax, because they did point out that it wouldn't just be towards white people, it would also be towards black people if they were racist, towards Asians, as one example in the video. But I get the feeling that if they could institute some kind of racist tax to stop people from being racist or carrying out microaggressions or whatever, they probably would.
Oh yeah, I in watching it, I got every bit the sense that yes, they were trying to tell a joke, which to me fell very flat.
Mm-hmm.
But they were trying to tell a joke, but they were also trying to get a point across.
Yeah.
One of the things that stood out to me is that during the skit, absolutely no one laughed.
Yep, no one.
It was crickets. Now, they got a standing ovation after, and the crowd was full of white people, and these are probably the self-hating type of white people that were applauding the politics of it, but even they didn't laugh.
Yeah. Now, somebody in the comment section, in fact, 2 or 3 people brought up the point that the audience could very well be actors themselves.
Yeah.
And it may not have actually been like a genuine live show and just filmed with heavy editing afterwards and then posted to Comedy Central. Yeah. Even if that's the case, the comment section on the original video, there's no positive comments on that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I understand that comedy is subjective. What makes me laugh may not make you laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand that is different for everybody, but I try to give it a chance. I'm perfectly capable of laughing at myself. I mean, I'm a redneck. I don't deny that fact. And have you heard how many redneck jokes there are? I mean, come on. And have you seen me? I look like with my ears, I look like a Volkswagen going down the road with both doors open. Of course, I can
Mhm.
take a joke. But I listened and I listened and I listened, and I never heard the punchline. It's like, okay, where was the funny?
Yeah. It's getting that bad nowadays with their so-called comedy. It's like you're listening to it and you're like, okay, when is the funny part? Because I'm not getting it.
Yeah, and this is exactly the same reason why I made a video on Russell Howard and the show The Last Leg. Where's the punchline?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with The Last Leg in particular, I mean, it is a satire show. It has been fairly political for the majority of its existence. It didn't start off political. It started off as a commentary, a daily commentary on the Paralympics.
Right.
But it was so popular, it got its own show, and they carried on because two of the members are like disabled and have like limbs off and stuff like that. It just feels like that there's a lot of just the same crap being said
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lazy,
It is.
is what it is.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I found it completely unfunny. And in fact, instead of laugh, it made me go, oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's cringy shit. It's like, it's like the people on Twitter that are trying to police what you can and can't joke about. Look, there are a myriad of jokes about Cuban people. How they live, how they talk. The fact that I remember when my mother told me that she was going to get everything set up for my sweet 15th birthday, and I asked her what that was. Of course, in Spanish, it's called quinceañera. And I asked her what that was. And she told me, I said, well, instead of sweet 15, Cubans have a sweet instead of a sweet 16, Cubans have a sweet 15. And she called me a smartass when I said, is that to make up for all the times we're 2 hours late to everything? It's because, if you can't joke about where you come from, who you are, your own family and background,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad because you're just picking on other people at that point. You got to learn to laugh at yourself first.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way people, when they try and make fun of you, like somebody on Twitter 2-3 weeks ago kept insulting me. I'm like, look, I went through 12 years of school with people making fun of me. You're going to have to do better than that.
Oh, I'm hard to insult because I'm just as likely to insult myself.
Yep.
Go ahead, take your best shot, man.
Yep.
I'll
Plus,
probably agree with you.
Yep. Cuban, I used to work at an O'Charlie's in Noonan, Georgia, and the middle part of the main floor had 2 booths that were enclosed in wood. And before the dinner rush came, they gave me wood polish and a rag. And I said, oh, so you want the Cuban to polish the wood like boat people? Like you think I'm a boat person or something? I mean, really? Mm-hmm. And I walked out of the kitchen. I mean,
And speaking of laughing and entertaining yourself, haven't you been entertained? We have 72 watching and 39 likes, 1 dislike. Come on, people.
There's 47 likes.
We're almost at the end of the stream, and if you haven't decided by now if you like it or not, when are you going to decide?
right?
Crapper, get off the pot. Come on.
There's annoying people that just and are in the store all day. Just buy it.
Yeah.
I have one more article, and it pertains to Prince Harry.
Oh.
Of course, it's from BBC News. Teenage neo-Nazi admits terror offences. A teenage neo-Nazi who suggested Prince Harry should be shot for marrying a woman of mixed race has pleaded guilty to terror offences at the Old Bailey. Good grief. Look, right, I know people don't like Meghan Markle. I don't like her. I think she's turned Harry into a bit of a ponce, to be honest with you.
I'm getting that sense myself.
She's very political, very divisive lady. She's caused a lot of drama between Harry and William. She's even pissed off their personal security guards to the point where some of them have quit. and she's just very political in nature, and like, don't be getting involved in politics, bitch. You're a part of the royal family now. You need to be impartial. And just like turning Harry into a bit of a bitch, you know, like getting Harry to kind of change like his mind on gaming and get him to like suggest that we should ban it, like Fortnite, for example, you know. But at the same time, behave, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
People can be with whoever they fucking like. I remember my race mixing video, and of course I managed to trigger a lot of the alt-right people, you know, saying it was unnatural. Shut up. People should be able to make love to and have relationships with whoever they bloody well like. As far as I'm concerned, it's not your place to tell Harry or anybody else who they fall in love with and choose to marry.
Yeah.
You could take your hateful ass and fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. Michael Schwezler, like, fucking fantastic English name there, ballbag. Fantastic nationalist, by the way. 19 of Leeds admitted 2 counts of encouraging terrorism and 5 of possessing documents useful to a terrorist. The charges relate to a neo-Nazi group called the Sonnenkrieg Division. Co-defendant Oscar Dunklski, 18 from West London, pleaded guilty in December to encouraging terrorism. Both of them were granted conditional bail and are due to be sentenced at the Old Bailey on the 17th of June. The pair produced Sonnenkrieg propaganda that, among other things, said Prince Harry was a race traitor who who should be shot, and lionized the Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik. What will know? You can shove that fucking neo-Nazi shit up your ass, mate.
Yeah.
Real quick. Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, I was just going to acknowledge something that Data said there. He said, but late last night I shot an elephant in my PJs. How that elephant got in my PJs, I will never know. Nice Groucho Marx reference there.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you know, if you want to live your life consumed by hatred, you crack on.
Yeah.
But just know that if you produce documents that pertain to terrorism, you will be arrested for it, and you will be charged on terror offenses. Faithless. How many Muslims have they charged? Loads, mate. Our prisons are full of them because they have charged them for the same kind of shit. You know, yeah. I realize it's kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, especially in our genre, to go, what about the Muzzies? Well, they do get arrested. There is a reason why our prisons are filled to the brim full of them. They do get charged on terror offenses. And you also have to acknowledge the fact that there is a very small contingent.
I'm of the opinion that the Queen, Miss Elizabeth herself, will at least attempt to take care of Miss Markle, but not because she's black, but because she's a dirty American.
I wouldn't even say that. I'd say it's because she's a pest.
That may be too.
Like, she's a general pest. Like, she's gonna have herself an accident in a tunnel somewhere. Diana,
yeah, exactly. And you will not convince me that somebody somewhere didn't have something to do with that. That whole thing stinks. But we could spend a whole stream discussing the Diana conspiracy theories.
And Owen Harmon mentions about locking people up for saying stuff, regardless of how dumb, is completely wrong. We have legislation as put forward by the Crown Prosecution Service here in the United Kingdom that is really confusing when it comes to hate crimes and terrorism and stuff. It's like intent to produce like hateful material or material that can lead to racial hatred or material that can lead to terrorism, and it's like. But where's the bar with that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's far too open. It's far too open, in my opinion. It reads like YouTube's terms of service, you know?
Oh, Dr. House. Random thought, but are Muslim actors allowed to ham it up, or would that be blasphemy?
Oh my God. The next 6 minutes, it goes, those who recognize I'm half something else typically tell me I look part Asian, Native American, East Indian, and other things. And I tell them I'm Mexican, and they say, oh, yeah. Yeah, I have been mistaken for Puerto Rican. I've never been mistaken for Mexican. But when I tell them I'm Cuban, I've had at least 4 or 5 people look at me and go, well, you don't look Cuban. And I go, shh, I'm undercover.
Well, don't you know all you Hispanics look alike to us?
Listen here, gringo.
Yeah.
You know what else annoys me?
What annoys you?
These hippies that are currently protesting in the UK right now. The Extinction Rebellion, upper British middle class tosspots that are causing havoc in London. They're using a 12-year-old girl from Sweden as their mouthpiece.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I don't like that. Yeah. You're going to use a child to push your extremely divisive message and pull on people's heartstrings. That kind of tells me that you don't have any arguments. And the thing is that they I've been on their website. They have a butt ton of data. I don't know how accurate the data is. I've not compared it to anything else, but they do have some data that they could use for arguments, right? And yet they're not. Instead, they choose to dump a boat in the middle of Oxford Circus.
A pink boat.
A pink boat. Causing havoc to people trying to get to work. You know, blocking public transport, you know.
Look, people, if you're looking to a 12-year-old for guidance, now, no, don't get me wrong. There's some smart kids out there. For instance, my 8-year-old grandson is extremely intelligent. He's too smart for his own good, is what he is. But still, they're kids. At 12 years old, I was probably still leaving skid marks in my underwear because I wasn't wiping good. Come on.
Yeah.
Owen's actually just tagged me in an article regarding this young lady on Twitter, which is from Spiked, and I think it's criticizing her. And Mr. Dax is absolutely right. You can't criticize a 12-year-old girl because you'd be seen as attacking a kid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I seriously doubt she even knows what she's actually talking about properly, you know? Would I be all right to just quickly burn through this?
Sure.
Anyone who doubts, and thank you, Owen, for sending this to me. Anyone who doubts that the Green Movement is morphing into a millenarian cult. What kind of fucking word is that? Should take a close look at Greta Thunberg. That's her name, by the way. This poor young woman increasingly looks and sounds like a cult member. The monotone voice, the look of apocalyptic dread in her eyes, the explicit talk of the coming great fire that will punish us for our eco sins. There is something chilling and positively pre-modern about Ms. Thunberg. One can imagine her in a sparse wooden church in the Plymouth colony in the 1600s, warning parishioners of the hellfire that will rain upon them if they fail to give up their witches. It actually makes sense that Miss Thunberg, a wildly celebrated 16... Oh, she's 16, not 12. My bad, guys. Swede, who founded the climate strike... She's not 16. She looks about 10.
Pretty young looking 16. I've seen her picture.
Yeah, she's... All right, okay. It actually makes sense that Miss Thunberg, a widely celebrated 16-year-old Swede, who founded the climate strike movement for school kids, should sound cultish, because climate change alarmism is becoming ever stranger, borderline religious, obsessed with doomsday prophecies. Consider Extinction Rebellion, the latest manifestation of the upper middle class, contempt for industrialization and progress. It is at times indistinguishable from old fundamentalist movements that warned mankind of the coming end of days. I followed Extinction Rebellion from Parliament Square to Marble Arch yesterday, and what I witnessed was a public display of millenarian fear and bourgeois depression.
That article must be paying by the syllable.
Yeah, clearly. People did dances of death and waved placards warning of the heat death of the planet. It felt deeply unnerving. It struck me that this was a march against people. Most radical protest and direct action is aimed at officialdom or government or people with power. The macabre schlep through London was aimed squarely at ordinary people. Banners and placards made no disguise of the marchers' contempt for how the masses live. We were told that meat equals heat. That is, if you carry on eating meat, you fat bastards, the planet will get even hotter. And that driving and flying are destroying Mother Earth, even though one of your spokespeople flew in on a private jet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Of course, it's okay for them to fly. Emma Thompson jetted first class from LA to London. Oh, okay, it wasn't a private jet, but still, to lecture us plebs about all of our eco-destructive holiday making. It's only a problem when we do it. It's only bad when we take advantage of the miracle of mass food production and the expansion of flight to make our lives fuller and more pleasurable. They detest that. They detest mass society and its inhabitants, the masses. Is keeping with all millenarian movements. The extinction-obsessed green cult reserves its priestly fury for ordinary people, even when it is putting pressure on the government. It is really asking it to punish us. It wants tighter controls on car driving, restrictions on flying, green taxes on meat. That these things would severely hit the pockets of ordinary people, but not the deep pockets of Emma Thompson and the double-barreled eco-snobs who run Extinction Rebellion. I'm not reading anymore because they're a bunch of shits, and I'm just agreeing with Spiked at this point. Yeah, that's exactly why I keep going on about why I hate the British upper middle class, or just the British middle class in general. This is what they're like. They're a bunch of hypocritical fuckheads. All right. Tildeer did a fantastic video pointing out what racist shitbags these people are, right? Because they'll be the first people to stand up for the black community and point out the wonders of diversity. But when it comes to the Notting Hill Festival, which is a Afro-Caribbean festival held in Notting Hill every year, they will board up their windows and doors. There are companies that have spawned from this based on that. This is what they're like. They're a bunch of hypocritical fuckheads. This is why I hate them. They just look down on the working class like they're shit and don't mind fucking us in the pocket.
And, you know, and back to the young girl, 12 or 16, it don't matter to me. She's still a kid. And no matter how smart she is, and I have no doubt that she's very intelligent, she still hasn't figured out life yet. And that only comes from experience, time, you know, to figure out life. No matter how much I remember being, I don't know, 25 years old and think I had it all figured out. And I didn't, of course. Didn't have it all figured out. And a comment that I want to make, and this goes to a conversation you and I, Bear, had earlier on Twitter DMs. One thing I don't miss about being young, you know, I complain about being old and so forth, but there's one thing I don't miss is being young and not knowing who I am and what I believe.
Yeah.
I don't miss that at all. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's why, good grief, putting all your stock into what a 16-year-old says. I have socks older than that. I'm pretty sure of it.
But yeah, I don't want to get into this and start kicking off because it just wind me up, and I don't want us to get mad over something that I actually can't really control. And Megan did a great video on it, and after the stream, guys, I recommend you go give that a watch because it's really telling. It really is. I'll even drop the article that Owen was very kind to share with me in the chat for you guys. But maybe we should take questions for 5 minutes, Bud.
And let me do something straight to this mail. You've probably, maybe you haven't heard me say it, but I say it all the time. I know plenty of boomers that are stupid. Some people are just stupid. Stupid people are stupid. But figuring out life only comes with experience. That's not to say that some people never figure it out. But if you do figure it out, that's the only way it comes.
And lo and behold, I just looked at the replies. One of the first replies, Christian Christensen, monotone voice in in quotes. What a gutless, spiteful attack on a 16-year-old with Asperger's who is devoting her life to a worthy cause. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Someone here saying they reported it. Look, right, like it's pretty cool that like a foreign kid like speaks a fluent language that isn't native to her own, but they're still using a kid with Asperger's. This girl is on the spectrum, and they're using her for this.
Yeah, my hat's off to her. I mean, I can barely speak my own home language. I butcher it to death. Thank you, Willingham, for the donation. Do you still want super chat? I will take whatever form of help that you want to give. It is up to you. As long as everyone understands that with super chat, I can only touch it once a month, and yes, YouTube do take their cut. So I will not receive that whole $2. Just so you're aware.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. A cut of something is better than 0 from 0.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, and I count myself in among that. I'm a firm believer in the old axiom that if you get to the point, no matter how old you are, that you have nothing else to learn, that just proves that you do.
I agree. Life is a learning curve, after all. So, should we have some questions?
You're never too old to learn. If you think you know it all, you don't even know half of what you think.
It takes me a little longer to learn it now at my age than it did when I was younger, but yeah. Absolutely. And yes, let's take some questions, guys. I know I've got some new subscribers out there that I've picked up recently. And so you can't possibly know all that you want to know about the three of us.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. For the next minute or so, anyway. I'm hoping to end on time because I'm starving. I know I've got food waiting for me. We spent the first minute of the stream talking about food.
Mr. Dex, I think I did. Let me look. Did I miss one somewhere?
I'm scrolling up for the chat. I'm not seeing it.
Yes, I did. The electricity joke. Yes. I certainly did.
Oh, dear. Well, it's almost 4 inches enough. For a snow day, yeah.
Yeah, for a snow day. Yeah.
There you go. Nice, wholesome answer.
Yeah. Close enough for government work.
Nicroso Collins. Hey, all right, Bear. Nice haircut. Did you fix the laugh yet? Shut up. Still giving me shit about my laughball bag.
I get mixed reactions about my laugh. I get people tell me they love my laugh, and then I get the other people that say you sound like a serial killer.
Oh dear! Can you get cheesecake in Cheshire at 10:30 p.m.? Yeah, from my local store. Actually, you can. Yeah, they sell cheesecake in there. I mean, it's pre-made stuff. Like, it's the shit out of the freezer. Oh wow, very nice.
No kidding. Thank you, Willingham, for the very generous donation. What do you think of my parents trying to force me to sell my PC I bought with my own money from my full-time job, and I'm done with high school? I'm still 17 3/4, but they refuse to let me keep it in my room. I work 6 days a week and work 12 hours days. Well, I'm missing a lot of information there on why they would have a problem with your computer. I mean, if you bought it, you paid for it, it's yours. It should be your call on whether you sell it or not. But I feel like I'm missing some information here.
Yeah, it was like Forgetful 4 asked me, who would you F and who would you kill out of Bear and Blood Queen? Why you gotta ask that and put me in the middle?
Oh, come on. The answer's easy. Kill me. I'm old anyway. I ain't got long.
You want me to put you out of your misery? All right, I'll put you out of your misery.
I prefer you to kill me, to be honest, because I look at Bloodwing. I just don't want to get there.
I mean, come on, let's be honest. At best, considering how long they live in my family, I've got about 20 years left. That's at best. My dad will turn 80 in May, and he's outlived them all.
My answer to William, I don't think that your parents are justified in trying to do that, considering that you're a full working guy and you're barely at home by the sound of things as well. Doesn't sound like you have a lot of time to spend on your PC. I imagine when you get home, you probably, are busy, making sure your uniform is ready.
Yeah.
Sleeping, eating. It doesn't sound like you get a lot of time on your PC at all there, mate.
Yeah, he gave a little more information. They say I shouldn't be allowed to play video games because it's the devil's work and it accomplishes nothing. That being the case, I think they're wrong. You should be able to spend your free time however you like, as long as it's not destructive. If you like your video games, then by all means. And you're talking to the choir here, because I'm definitely a video gamer.
Yeah, I mean, we can't tell you what to do, mate. But like, if you're coming home from your 12-hour shifts, those are incredibly long shifts. I used to work 12-hour shifts, so sometimes I'd work longer, especially in the Navy. And if you're coming home and then spending the rest of your time on games and not resting, that's probably a bad thing. I doubt that you are, though, because I know what it's like to work 12-hour shifts, and you just you're just buggered when you're done.
But with the information that I'm giving, you seem to be the type of young person that I tip my hat to, because there are so many 30-year-olds that want to sit around in their mom's basement and never do that. Not you. I'm not talking to you. You're married with kids and you're making your way.
I've got my own basement. It's not even a basement.
It's right. You're in your own basement. You're in your own shed, not your mama.
It's my sideways. It's my sideways basement.
Anyway, we are now 4 minutes past. Sorry, Bear. I was going to try to end on time for you, but we got carried away there, didn't we?
Yeah, well, that's fair. He did donate a lot of money.
Absolutely. And it deserved a response. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for coming out and supporting the stream with your attendance and your listening and so forth, and your likes and so forth. Thank you for those that have donated today. I absolutely appreciate it. And please know that in my case, it will go to a very good cause called paying my bills. So be aware of that. Thank you to the moderators. We don't work you out too much, but every once in a while, and I appreciate you. Thank you, Bear, for coming as always. Anything you want to shill?
Yeah, I put up a brand new video today. Most of you were present to hear me talk about it. It was, of course, the response to the SJW comedy group with some woke-ass comedy. Go give that a watch, guys. I ripped the piss out of them, and the link is in the chat.
Yeah, and Musy, thank you for stopping in. Anything you want to shout out?
Well, I'm gonna write it in the chat. Hold on just a second. This is my baby channel, my secondary channel that I'm putting in the chat. It's my catch-all kind of channel, and somebody is trying to put some drama shit in my server, so no. What I do on there is I kind of review anime. I do vlogs on there. When we get set up 100%, I'm going to start doing cooking videos. What I'm working on, what's in the pipe, is I completely lost my mind last weekend and I watched The Last Jedi. And I am doing a video of my tweet responses with a little bit added. So be on the lookout for that. It is a baby. It's only got like 49 subscribers so far. It is a no drama, all fun channel, in case, because I do news on my main channel and that can get stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my secondary channel is to blow off steam. So if you guys go over there and check it out and let me know what you guys think, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. There you have it. This has been Redneck Radio. Our next episode will be Thursday at 2:30 EST. Make sure that you're there. To cop a little bit of a thing off of a bear, you've all been a bunch of morons. And as always, get out of my yard.
Bye, guys.